I think that would be the most meaningful to me. And they really aren't any kind of, accolades or awards or anything, but they're just, I feel like if you just help someone else out or make them feel good for the day or that moment, then your life can only be, that much greater.
Ooh, that is Miss Angela Gardner from the upstate in South Carolina. I have no idea what the upstate means, but it's a South Carolina thing. And before I get into my introduction of Miss Angela Gardner, I want to give a special shout out to Miss Kayla Soul Hug. She's the one that's writing all the beautiful, eloquent episode descriptions and giving us our titles. I connected with her on Fiverr. If you're looking for amazing service with very intuitive writing that's meaningful and captures the spirit of your interviews, hit her up at Kayla, Kayla_ Soul Hug, SOULHUG. She does phenomenal work. And on to Miss Angela Gardner. She's kind of a baller. That's the kind of people that are out there in the trades, and that's the kind of people we're going to be hanging out with here on Learnings and Missteps. She's the co-host of Women Talk Construction, co-founder of the Women Construction Forum, and she's like the marketing manager. She's run a company. She had a fashion design studio in New York City. So she's got it going on. In our conversation, we go a little deep here. She shares some of her secrets with interacting with trade schools, interacting with high schools, and marketing the company, and also delivering a service to the students to bring them into our industry. Both of us dive into the burden of leadership. Many of the L&M family members are leaders, and it's something that a lot of people really want to do. But there's some stinky stuff that you got to do when you're a leadership role, and Angela and I get into that. And then she shares her experience and how how she worked through or persevered in running a business through a recession, which, the constraints, baby, the constraints are always going to drive creativity. And of course, we've got to give a shout out and much appreciation to all of our L&M family members out there that have signed up as patrons. They're making financial deposits to help in the Learnings and Missteps mission, which is, of course, enhancing the image of careers in the trades. And our newest patron is Carol Raftery. Miss Carol, thank you so much for jumping in, signing up, and supporting our effort. And to everybody else, quick reminder, 80% of what we get here going forward is going to be going to the Skilled Trades Alliance, which there's some awesome ballers over there as well. And 20% we're going to keep to, buy some swag and get some new gear, pay taxes, that sort of thing. We appreciate all the support that we're receiving from the L&M family. Go to learningsandmissteps.com, hit the Become a Member button, and you can sign up and be a patron. We'll give you a shout out and you get some special access stuff, and you'll be able to contribute to the cause. So now I'm going to stop talking and let y'all get to know Miss Angela Gardner. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're relaxed, listening to her is going to get you another level of relaxed. What's going on, L&M family? I am here with Miss Angela Gardner. I don't know. Can I like just spill the beans and let everybody know right out of the gate that you're co-host
Oh,
of
yeah.
Women Talk Construction?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sure. Yes, I love it. Women talk construction in non-traditional roles.
I gotta remember that one. Y'all heard it, y'all. It's not just one piece. There's another piece there. How you doing this morning, Miss Angela?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like super full of energy. I'm
Oh, yeah.
on somehow this cup of coffee just keeps getting full. Oh, and I'm sporting. I'm
Hey, it
sporting my
matches.
yep.
Yeah, you're
Bring back
matching
the
today.
trades. Oh, I need to show him the clip. Like told, like, hey Steve, check it out, bro. We're sporting the BBTT gear. He's an awesome dude. He's out there lighting the world on fire, and I'm super. Did you
It's
see?
so important that
Yeah.
we get dollars to him. I forward all of those notices to my career centers and tell them,
Oh,
"Hey, listen, your students need to apply."
how and why are you engaged with this trades, these non-traditional careers, and spreading the message that you're spreading?
Well, Okay, let me first start with, you have to work somewhere you share the same values and, you wanna do the same stuff. So I work at Hill Electric, and I'm give them a big shout out because I love them. I love their team. They care about the community. They care about their people,
Mm,
which is number 1. In fact, when I first started there, I met one of the original owners of Hill Electric, Mr. Hill, and he came up to me. It was at a Christmas party, and he came up to me and he goes, "Angela, what you need to do is always highlight our people." That's what I always do, and I hope I do it well. They support me going out in the community and getting in front of the career centers, and so they kind of let me loose to go
mm,
start doing that. So I started building connections, with the technical schools, even some of these high schools have construction programs with inside them,
yes.
and so we go to those. Through all of this, in 2019, Rachel Veltri and I found Women Construction Forum, which is just an upstate platform. It's not even really a company. It's just a tribe of women, and we
Mm,
get together and we have happy hours, but then we also go out into these career centers and technical schools and get in front of women and talk about being in this career. And the stories you hear are just they're amazing, but
yeah.
then also of course some of them are, we've got some work to do. So
Yes. Yes. Well, you say like, yeah, we're just this tribe of women, but like y'all ain't just a tribe of women. To steal one of Christie's quotes, y'all are like bomb.com women. Like y'all got it going on. Y'all are making things happen. So going to the high schools, that's a very special place for me. Um,
Mhm.
because that's kind of how the Learnings and Missteps podcast that's where it came from. Right. I spent a lot of
Cool.
time going and talking to high schools, talking about careers in the trade specifically because of my experience. And then I couldn't do that anymore because of COVID. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
right, Learnings and Missteps was born. Um, so I'm wondering when you go to the schools, are there like a line of other trade contractors, non-traditional career representatives banging at the door trying to talk to these students?
Not that I can see.
Mm,
But, I mean, of course, I'm always on social looking to see what others are doing, and I talk to a lot of my peers, and, you know, and I mean, it's probably because they just don't have someone in a role like mine. I feel extremely grateful that my company allows me to do this and even do marketing, because a lot of companies construction don't value, I think, marketing and being out in the community as much as they should, because it really can bring back tenfold. First off, I wanna mention one thing that you mentioned earlier.
yes.
We trained with Women Construction Forum, we were told we couldn't go into the career centers, so we started creating videos, and I don't know if you've seen any of those, but we did several videos of our women at job sites like the Grand Bohemian, Greenville County Square, and just various projects that they worked on and interviewed them. So that's
Yeah.
how we kind of adapted to that. But then me as Hill Electric goes in, I go in with my, coworker, David Wookie, who is VP, and we will actually go in and treat and teach them, like, lift training. So in other
Nice.
words I know, and so it's not just a get up there and talk to them, it's an interactive. We do that in technical schools, the, high schools, and the career centers, and they love it. And,
Mhm.
the thing we're doing too is because we're just to step back a second, we go into manufacturing facilities and we basically are installing machinery and facility power. So we're not building the buildings. So it's really kind of helpful for our clients too that we're in showing them about lift training because they'll learn more about it because some of these kids probably will be going into the manufacturing sector too. So
Yes. And so
so I
have
think
y'all been able to be successful in getting like future employees from
yes.
this? Yeah. You're
Guess
like, yeah,
oh,
without a
guess
doubt.
what? I so we hired our first female since I've been there. I know, from Greenville
Mm,
Tech. So and she
mhm.
was at a lift training.
Oh, good for you.
I
That
know,
is,
and, electricians, we only have about maybe 1% are females
yeah,
in our sector. So, I mean, it's
yeah.
even Rarer.
There's a lot of room for women. Like, not like anybody has to create special space. There's plenty of space
Yeah,
for everybody, and particularly women, just because there's a thinking, right? And I gotta admit, like, full confession, I had the same thinking a long time ago, that there were only certain roles that a woman could fulfill on a job site. And that was totally false. I mean, I've worked with some women that are amazing. It's just a matter of me getting past my own short-sighted thinking, and working with them like work with anybody else. Like, it's just work. The challenge, like the overarching challenge, I think, is the climate, or the culture in construction, or in these types of trade spaces, is it's not comfortable. It's not warm. It's not as
mhm.
warm and welcoming as your podcast is. And we have a long way to go, but again, women can help us with that.
Yeah. Well, we can all do it, right? Together, better together. That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Better together.
Yeah. I have to say this, throughout my career, I have been fortunate enough to not, really have too much of the stories I've heard happen to me, but I kind of came about a different way. I think you asked, like, what I originally wanted to do.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I grew up in the construction sector. My granddad was a plumber
Okay.
and had his own company, and my dad's an architect. It's been a part of my life, but I originally wanted to be a fashion designer.
Ah.
Well, yeah, that didn't actually turn out the way it was, because I moved to New York City when right after college, and then I decided 2 years later I wanted to be back home, and then I couldn't find a job, so I started working for dad.
Mm.
And so it was an e-commerce houseplant company, national, international, one of the top, number 1, and so I worked there for 18 years and then ran it for 10, and I got to run it during the Great Recession.
Ooh,
Yay.
exciting.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and then, we also owned other businesses like a design development company, and, which it did really well too, and then I transitioned, and we'll get more into that later, but the various roles I've had throughout my career have been just anywhere from running blueprints to, learning accounting to, project management. I actually got to be a project manager on a $2 million luxury lake home
Okay.
right after I left Don Gardner, so that was pretty cool. I got to actually be on the job site and do that. And then, of course, sales and BD, or business development and marketing, is where I am now. So, I haven't really been, say, a per se, a skilled trade
Mhm.
person, but I've been a part of it, and what I have done throughout my career is always loved hearing stories, and I've always loved to help others. So, however I can do that, if I can bring those 2 together, it's wonderful, and that's what this podcast does, and, Women, Construction Forum does for me, so
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, there's a few things there. One important thing that people need to know is, in our industry, it's not like the careers aren't confined to
No.
just sweating and banging things together. There's all
Yes.
kinds of roles, and every single one of those roles is critically important to the success of the business, to the
Mhm.
success of serving the client. And that's why it's super important and special that you're on with us, because you have a different type of role,
I
but
do.
it's in the same industry. And you can, I mean, you mentioned you work with your granddad, and I'm gonna make you tell us something about that. But like, I guess the point is, and again, my experience, I started off as an apprentice plumber and did all that stuff. And then I did another different kind of role, traveling the country, supporting teams, and doing lean and last planner stuff. Then I was a safety guy, and now I started my own business. Like, none of that would have happened had I not started my career in the trades.
Yeah, right.
And there's so many things that are important there, that our people need to know. Like, it's not a dead end. It can
Mm-mm.
be whatever you want to be. You've been a project manager, now you're in marketing, you're a fashion designer in New York. Like, that's pretty sweet, and that may be inaccurate, but I'm still gonna say it so I can brag and say,
Well,
you know.
actually, I did own an apparel company briefly,
Oh,
but we can talk about that in a little bit.
that's a good one.
I
That's
mean,
a
you know, I obviously have entrepreneurship in my genes.
yes, yes. So going back to granddad, what was it like spending time with him, or did you spend much time with them out there?
You know, I never went to the job sites with granddad, but I learned a lot because their office was right next to the house. And this was really, you know, I witnessed a lot of this when I was growing up because once I went to college, I didn't. And, you know, the older he got, the less he did.
Sure.
But, you know, grandmother always like would have be outside doing the accounting in the other house. And so I would go out there with her and pretend. And then the biggest thing I got from it was the interaction that my granddad had with his team
Ah,
and what he did for them.
mm,
I would always see him come home and rest and come back for lunch and then go back out. And then he always took care of his clients, even if, say, they couldn't pay or something. You know, but because they live in Hendersonville, North Carolina. So it's a kind of a retirement community.
okay.
So, but that's what I learned from him and my grandmother and my mom. It really, they're the ones that instilled in me to give back and
Yeah.
always help others.
That is a ultimate lesson. You know, I spent a lot of time serving myself, right? Only worried about me. And that was not fun. I mean, I've had a lot of shiny things. I bought a lot of stuff, but there was no fulfillment in my life. And it wasn't until I figured out, or not, maybe not even figured out, somebody kept slamming me in the head and say, "Hey, you're doing it wrong." That like, oh, if I live in service to others and have some compassion, oh my goodness, life is better. That's a
Yeah.
pretty big deal there.
Yeah.
So, and you said your dad was an architect.
Yeah, he's an architect, and
Okay.
yeah. So, and he's actually I don't know if you've heard of it, Don Gardner Architects.
Okay.
They're a stock house plan company. Yeah, I worked there for 18 years, so
Ah, how was
yeah,
that?
it's very interesting. I'm very grateful. I learned a lot because I went through so many different things that happened there, and, you know, when you're in a family business, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but, I mean, pretty much you do everything that you need to do.
Yep.
You know, you can have that title, but so what? And then at family dinners, you're talking business. It was a wonderful experience because, like I said, I got to, you know, lead through a great recession and deal with all that. But of course, with that comes, you know, you did mention y'all are the misstep,
Yes,
learning
yes.
missteps, and yeah, that probably is going to be part of mine. So,
Oh, I can't wait. I love it. Little teaser. Hang in there, Ellen and family. It's coming. So early exposure into the trades, into the industry, and you decided like you were fashion design was something that was very attractive to you. What was it about fashion design that caught your eye?
well, as a little girl, you know, I always noticed it, and I would draw pictures, and
Okay,
I always want to do that. So when you go to school, you can only get a limited degree, and then you have to go to another school after that, you know, to get a actually design part of it. And I didn't necessarily go that route. And by the time I got to New York City, and my husband at the time worked on Wall Street, and it was not really a wonderful life for a
sure.
yeah. I met some awesome people, and I am grateful that Greenville now has a very diverse culture. But of course, when you're in New York City, you experience that diverse
Oh
culture.
my goodness, yes.
And it was wonderful, but it helped me appreciate Greenville a lot more. So that's when I came back home and did something here. And then my husband followed me back.
So was it like culture, like shock, just the pace of things from home to New York City?
I mean, it kind of was because I'm kind of already a go, go, go type person, and you're very much have to be that way in New York.
Yep.
But Yeah, there were definitely different things, like, we lived in a studio apartment that where basically we had I mean, our bedroom was where our living room was, and I had to have being a one with a doorman because I didn't feel safe if I wasn't.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, I had to work 2 jobs in order to just make a living. You know, you learn the certain things, like, you don't go on the subway when you're a female, young,
Mm.
at night. I did miss Greenville after seeing some of that stuff, and then just the cost of living was much different than
Expensive. Yeah. I love visiting New York, but I ain't living there because that's a lot of money. You said.
Yeah, yeah. I actually had someone at one of the I worked in retail, and I actually had someone come in the store and tell me to go back to Texas, and I said, "Well, I can't because I'm from South Carolina." So,
Oh my good. So
I
the
love
accent, they
yeah,
and, but
didn't
that's
help me.
the thing about New York, you walk down the street and you can hear all kinds of languages.
Mhm,
Like it's not it's really really densely diverse, right? Like I'm from San Antonio, and I don't know what kind of accent I have because I can't hear it, but people always get it wrong, right? Some people anyway, and I don't know. I'm like whatever. It's just the I grew up in the hood, bro. Like this is the way I talk. You know, I can run into people here speaking Spanish, speaking English, speaking a mix of that. But that's kind of it. Unless I'm like downtown on the Riverwalk, then I'll be able to hear, some French or, different
mhm.
languages. But New York, it's like every time I've walked the street, I've heard people get an Uber, different languages, right? Like it's
Oh, yeah.
just the norm out there. And so for them to be trying to send you back to Texas, I mean, you're welcome. Please come. Uh, that's a little interesting. Yeah, people are weird that way, I guess.
It's okay, you know?
Yeah, it's good.
Most of them, I think, did like my accent, so
Yes, yes. Well, like I said before we started recording, listening, maybe that's part of the experience that I enjoy so much of your podcast is the accent. Like I mean, I'm feeling it right now. Lots of warmth coming from you. And when I listen to you and Christy, like I said, it's very soothing and warm, but maybe the accent has something to do with that
mm,
too. I'm not sure. Right, but L&M family, y'all gotta check them out so you can tell me, let me know what do you think that secret sauce is? And so now you're in marketing.
yeah.
What do you think about
Actually,
the
marketing and sales, and by the way, sales, there are very few females too in
oh my
construction and
goodness.
sales.
Is that I'm guessing you wanted that challenge.
I always want a challenge. Yes, if you tell me I can't do something, I will find out why first, and
Mhm,
then I will figure out a way to do it.
mhm. That's what it's all about, sister. Now what do you think about so I'm very critical. I'll just say it that way. I'm critical about what companies how they market themselves.
Hmm,
And like, I'm not looking for perfection. Everybody knows I misspell everything. I'm not very proper. I don't follow the rules. I don't even know the darn rules. So now I'm not breaking them if I don't know them, right?
that's okay because I misspelled too.
Yeah. See, like it happens. No big deal.
No.
Um, but I see companies, and it's not like, yes, it's the organization, but it's their people that are pushing the buttons and posting the posts. And over again, what do I see? Oh, happy to celebrate this 80,000 square foot building that we just built and grand opening of this. And I'm like, okay, like buildings, all those buildings were built by people.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of people that sacrifice time
Yes.
away from their family, from the
Oh,
things that
yeah.
they love. And why can't we see them? What do you think about that?
That is so true. I've never even thought of it that way because that's not how I think.
Ah, good.
Um, but, I have to say this too. Sometimes those companies hire outside marketing firms to do their work, and so they aren't as in touch, and it's leadership telling them the key is Hill Electric thought enough in advance and outside the box to hire
Mm,
me as a liaison because it's not on me. I have a marketing company that I use. I have a photographer and I have an IT guy who also does our website. And I'm interacting with all of these people and I'm making sure that they know the message that we want to put out there.
yes.
So I think that that's very important that if a construction company or someone in our industry wants to do that, then they need to have someone within their organization that has the ability to think outside the box.
Mhm.
And yes, include those people in those pictures of those buildings. I mean, you're right. They're the ones doing it. I mean, half our team is always working on a shutdown, and that means it's a holiday,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Holiday, long hours, day and
Yeah.
night,
Yes.
lots of stress, lots of frustration. I mean, that happens all the time. And then you see, this glass, steel, and concrete. Look at the beautiful building. And don't get me wrong, it is a beautiful building. But those of us that have been out there know the hours and heart and sweat that went into that building. And
Yeah.
it's the hours of heart and sweat that keep a business alive. And all of those hours come from people.
Yep.
Like, I just want to see more people, Angela. Come on.
Well, good. I'm glad. Well, hopefully you see people in mine.
So, sales, I wonder, what kind of unique, unexpected challenges did you come across when you took on this new challenge around marketing and sales?
I'd never been in the commercial industrial world until 2016.
Okay.
But, residential and commercial are very different, and even the
Yes.
connections that you make. So, I had a few, but I had to reestablish myself. So then when I transitioned to Hill, oh, yeah, the challenges were even greater because I love this about them, but they never wanna share our clients' names. I cannot share our client. Even certain photos, I can never go in with my phone and take a picture. I just get to go in and see our people doing the work and
Yes.
see some of these, like, awesome 1 mile long machines they're
Yes.
installing in these buildings. So I don't get to say that. So that was a little bit of a challenge. And then, of course, since we mainly, a lot of our clients are manufacturers, it's really hard to get into those facilities. So I have to get real creative with that. Of course, that was a challenge,
Hmm.
and I hope I've met it because we want to grow, but we wanna grow strategically too.
One thing you just said that people, please take this. I need to repeat it because it's important. Is there's this thinking out there that says, if a business ain't growing, it's dying. There's some truth to that. But the growing for the sake of growth is
Mm,
also not smart. Like,
no.
you burn people out. You not only do you burn people out, and here I am like talking out both sides of my face because I just started my own business. And like, I need business, right? Because I
Yeah.
gotta eat, I gotta buy them.
Well,
But
yeah.
at the same time, I can't just go crazy and go out and give me work, let me work, because my time is finite. Like, I only have so
Mhm.
much time, and if I get too many customers, I'm going to underserve the customers. And my systems right now aren't really developed such that I can serve a multitude of customers. And so, all the way, the main point here is what you said, is grow strategically. And in that strategy, how do we honor, respect, and account for the people that are there and the
Mhm.
people that are going to be coming in? Because to grow, like, you got to bring more people in, and then there's all kinds of fun that comes along with that. So thank you for
Yes.
saying that strategic part.
Well, I guess at all the companies I've been at, that's kind of been my mindset, so
Mm.
I'm lucky.
Well, you say lucky, but I think you've had a lot of experiences, and you've learned from them and you've carried them forward, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's not luck, that's practice. That's, you put in the work, you did the time.
Yeah.
And with that, you started, went off to New York. You're gonna be a fashion designer. You've had your own apparel store. You ran a company through a recession, which I'm sure there was no stress
Oh
associated
my
with that
gosh.
at all. Was there some stress?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're only
Well,
listening, I just got
we're
the death stare.
yeah,
You're like,
well, we're a house plan company, and we actually saw it first
oh,
because people
ooh.
stopped. That's the first thing people buy, and typically they don't build the house until 1 to 2 years later, and then builders just stop buying house plants.
Stop.
Yeah. So we saw it first, and we had to start getting creative and, of course, cutting back, way back, way back. And, of course, the executive team cut back first, and then salaries, and then, of course, we had to start I hate to say it, but we had to lay people off,
Mhm.
and then we had to stop designing new house plans, because there are certain things you just can't do if you don't have the team to do it, and then we had to reevaluate, well, how do we move forward? How do we build the business back? And so for us, and during my time there, um, I noticed that a lot of people that did buy the house plans wanted to make some modifications.
Oh,
And that wasn't in our wheelhouse, so much because, when you're in stock house plans, you can only modify a house plan to a certain degree. It can't be really job site specific. It has to be within certain codes.
yes.
So we started doing that and advertising it. And actually it helped us kind of get back out of somewhat of that.
Okay.
So I learned a lot. But
Yeah.
I don't there were a lot of days when I had to shut my door and cry because I had to do something I did not enjoy doing.
Ah,
So,
yes. The burden of leadership, right? The burden of
yes.
responsibility is many times you just got to do things you really, really don't want to do, and there is nobody else to assign that to.
No.
It's all you. And I applaud you for admitting, right, that I had to close the door and
Oh,
cry
yeah.
sometimes because I've been there. The first time I was involved in somebody getting terminated, and it was a really great termination. The person was a bad it was a bad situation having that person there. This was way, way back. When I got home, I was full of emotion because I knew that I have impacted him,
Yeah.
wife, his kids. Like I knew that. So it didn't feel good. And that was like an easy one. I'm sure you
Yeah.
were dealing with a lot of really, really tough
Oh,
ones.
I could share a lot of stories with you.
Oh man.
You know what? Okay, let me just mention one thing. If you do ever have to lay off, this is the thing that I always when I had to do it, I put it in my brain is and, they needed to be let go.
Yes.
I always reminded myself that I'm actually doing them a blessing because if they can't perform at our company, you know what? Maybe they'll do it better at the next one because that's what happened to me early on in my career when I think I was in college and I wasn't doing I just was I don't know, for some reason I just didn't I think I either got reprimanded or let go.
Mhm.
And that that helped me learn that
Yeah.
I didn't need to be like that. That changed my perspective, and that's what I always would tell myself whenever truly they needed to be let go, is that I felt like they would find a better opportunity or they would learn their lesson through being let go from our firm.
Yes. No, that's beautiful. Beautiful advice. Like that's an important thing. It's not easy to let people go, but it's much easier to release them back into the industry when I've taken all the appropriate steps, right? Have the
Yes,
conversation with them,
right.
hard conversations with them, provide them with the resources that they need to
Mhm.
gain the skill, consider putting them in another position that they may be better equipped for. But at some point, you just got to say, bro, it ain't working. Like, I think you're awesome. And I
Yeah.
think you're gonna be awesome at other things and other places. Like, just
Yeah, no, yeah.
here. No, no, but it's not easy. It doesn't feel good.
No.
Not at all. So along those lines, Miss Angela, I take it, I bet there's like a whole lot of these learnings and missteps that you've had in your amazing life. So I'm wondering, what is a significant learning you've had as the result of a painful misstep?
Mm. So I've been in the business, I think, for like 29 years now. And
Okay.
of course, I feel like all of my life I've had to learn through missteps,
Yeah.
whether it was personal or professional. But the one I want to talk about today is just to share with others is of course, a little bit about me. I'm an introvert. I
Hmm.
like to listen. I'm not really a talker, so it's hard for me to talk a lot, but I'm a listener. And also, I'm a recovering codependent.
Oh, oh, there's plenty to
Oh, yeah.
talk on
Well,
that.
yes, so that leads me into my one misstep that I'm going to share is and y'all talked about it this weekend on the live LinkedIn, Jess and
Mm,
Jen, stabilize yourself.
yes.
Um, so there were a lot of nuggets there for me. Throughout my career, I was very driven. I was go, go, go. I never really stopped. We had 2 kids. We were building an empire pretty much.
Mm.
Yeah, and but then we had things happen in our life that, we really aren't prepared.
Oh, man, I know it was just getting good, and here I am breaking up the flow again. But I can't help myself. If you want the rest of this tasty morsel of goodness, head on over to our YouTube channel and look for the Backstage Pass playlist. You're gonna find this one and the whole library of previous Backstage Passes where our guests share like super intimate stuff, like ultimate cheat codes for self-discovery and personal growth. There's a lot of value there for you and for any youngins, any of the younglings in your life. And if you want to get this fire, this Backstage Pass fire before anybody else does, go on over to learningsandmissteps.com, hit the become a member button, do all the stuff you need to do, select a thing. But everybody that becomes a patron will get first access to every single Backstage Pass that we record going forward. And just in case you missed it, those funds are going to contribute to enhancing the image of careers in the trade. 80% of that is going to be going to Skilled Trades Alliance. The other 20%, the Learnings and Missteps, is going to keep that to pay taxes and do some other things. We are blessed and we are fortunate, and we are here to spread the love and share the wealth with people that are carrying the same mission and demonstrating the behaviors that we see. Okay, that's enough. Now we're going back to the show. Peace. Sometimes the universe has a way of helping you learn what you need to
Oh,
learn.
yeah. Yeah, the other thing that y'all mentioned too on your, live stream this weekend was asking for help. I had never done that before because
Really?
everyone came to me
Mm.
and I helped them either financially. I didn't know how to do it for myself. Like I c I didn't. I've learned.
How? So, what did it? Would you mind like describing what it felt like in those early times when you started asking for help?
It was really scary and I felt horrible. I mean, because like I said, I'd always helped everybody else. That's what I got from my grandmother and mother too. They
Hmm.
were always helping and giving,
Hmm.
whether it be of their time, money, resources, whatever. So it's just it still probably is today still really hard for me. And I want to probably help way too many and too much. Okay, let me share a story with you because I won't say names, but I remember meeting with one of my peers, and the way I slowly got out there was I did this type entrepreneurship type thing, training, and so I kind of got out there. It was scary, but this one gentleman who was a peer of mine, we would meet for coffee and we would talk, and there was Christmas coming up, and I had come from having, like, so much, and like you said, I didn't have to want for anything,
Mm.
and this peer of mine, knew that I had nothing. It was Christmas, and he actually gave me $200 just to spend on my
Wow.
kids for Christmas.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't even know how to describe that feeling. It just I felt like he saw me and that he was there to help me, and he was a true friend. I had not experienced that before.
And we talked about it, right, on the No BS with Jen and Jess live stream was we ask for help.
Yeah.
And but it's easier said than done. Like if like for me, the way I reconcile that whole thing is when I don't ask for help, what I'm doing is I'm robbing somebody of the gift of giving. Right? Like I know how
Yes.
good I feel when I'm helping.
Yeah.
And I love to help because man, it feels good. but I'm not gonna let anybody else feel that for me. Like that's where it was like, oh, okay, I can I can start trying to ask for help, but it's definitely not an easy thing, but it is an amazing thing. It's a beautiful way to connect on a really deep level with other human beings is by seeking their help and
Mhm.
receiving their help.
And, wouldn't you say that you have to surround yourself with people, but that think like that too, or somewhat because, there are some that aren't going to.
Yes, totally. Totally.
So, yeah, I learned a lot about how to pick those people out and only surround them in my lives, so
Yeah. Oh, man, you've had like a big, gigantic life. I love it. And that's the beautiful thing, right? Most people have. So in that big, gigantic life of yours, sounds like a lot of you've had gained a lot of clarity over the years. I know you like to help. I know you're out there doing things for women, for the industry, for non-traditional careers. So what footprint do you intend to leave on the world, Miss Angela?
You know, the footprint I wanna leave is that my kids I've instilled what my mom and grandmother instilled in me to my kids. I have a son and a daughter. And then I also hope that whenever I meet someone, they walk away feeling uplifted and feeling heard and feeling special. There's so many things that I want to do, but those were really the things that I think that would be the most meaningful to me. And they really aren't any kind of, accolades or awards or anything, but they're just, I feel like if you just help someone else out or make them feel good for the day or that moment, then your life can only be, that much greater.
We the world there's a lot of, like, less than awesome things happening out there in the world.
Yes.
It just is. Um, but there's a lot of amazing,
Mhm.
beautiful miracles, eh, that we can actually play a part in. And you said, "I just want somebody to feel like they've been heard." Like, if that's not a miracle, I know when it's very easy. There's 2 ways to, like, get me to be your little puppy. One is give me food, and I'll just keep coming back. Feed me, and you got me. 2 is listen to me.
Yeah.
Because when people listen and hear whatever's coming out of my mouth, I feel valued. Like, I don't feel less than anymore, and that's a gift. Like, that's a real gift, and, the fact that that's the footprint you intend to leave on the world, that's an enormous gift. Like, making somebody so going back to the, your peer that helped you out
Yeah.
for Christmas, like, did that not make you feel like a beautiful, special,
Oh,
appreciated
yeah.
human being?
Yes.
That's the same thing. That's the
Yeah.
same feel. Like, if you just listen, help me feel heard, I feel like I matter. And if
Yeah.
you're doing that out there, Angela, you're gonna make all kinds of changes in the world, all in the right direction. Uh,
The other thing too, just I wanna also make sure I always I'm authentic and I'm vulnerable and I share my story and usually, the stuff that's not so shiny and beautiful. But I hope in a way I'm providing hope to someone because, it doesn't always that those times, those dark times aren't always dark. And if you surround yourself with the right people and you keep working and growing, it can be much brighter. And today, my life is so much better. So many of my peers that knew me back then, they see me today and they're like, "Oh my God, Angela, you look so happy. You have such a big smile on your face." And I'm just, they see a change in me.
yeah.
So,
That's amazing. Man, power, bringing the power today. Oh, you're so awesome, Angela. Thank you for that. So are there any people, special organizations that you wanna give a shout out for?
well, of course, Hill Electric, and then Women Talk Construction, yes. Oh, well, Hill Electric, go to our website, hillelectric.net, and then, of course, there's womentalkconstruction.com. Please come there and join our forum. because that's what makes us very different. We're a podcast, but we also want to connect women and men together to either find jobs, find resources. Check out our Women Construction Forum, that tribe, because, I want to encourage everyone out there, men or women, you can build your own tribes and,
Yes.
share information, get to know each other. So I guess those are kind of the resources. And, feel free to reach out to me anyway, and I'll try and help.
Beautiful. I love it. So you already heard there's website, hillcountry.net.
Hill Electric.
I'm sorry, my bad. There's hillelectric.net. Jeez, I don't know if you heard the one episode where this was awesome. I was not awesome. It was not awesome. I was interviewing Felipe Manriquez, and I was 3 times in a row. I got his website, his podcast wrong. Like I messed it up. Then he's like, "Nope, nope. You finally got it." Like, and I left it in because it was horrible.
Practice is perfect, right?
Practice is perfect. Yes. So hillelectric.net, womentalkconstruction.com.
Yep.
Yep. And this women construction forum or
Oh, yeah, you can go. We actually have a LinkedIn group. If
okay.
anyone wants to join that, they can join that, and that's pretty much the only place you can find our kinda group if you're outside of our area. So,
Oh, and so
not
this
in the
is
upstate. This is really just the upstate of South Carolina, and we meet for happy hours every month. I know. So
party
if you're in South Carolina, maybe you can come to a happy hour.
hang out in South Carolina or fly to South Carolina like I'm going to do for a very special engagement with you and Christy. I can't wait.
Yes, exciting.
I told you Angela's got it going on. And I teased y'all with the Backstage Pass. It's live, it's ready, it's available for you to go and consume that bad boy. Hit up our YouTube channel and hear a little bit more. It's some pretty intense stuff that I think a lot of us are dealing with. And if we aren't dealing with it directly, there's definitely somebody in our space that's working through those types of issues. And time for the L&M family member shout out. This one goes to Mr. Jorge Rincon, who left us a review on the Apple thing. Jorge says, I've worked with Jesse many years, and I know that his message is truthful and with the honest intent of helping people in the construction industry. Listen to this great podcast so you can learn what our craft in the construction industry live every day. They work very hard, and most of the time we do not recognize them. Truth, baby, truth. Jorge, appreciate you, my man. Jorge's out there making waves, supporting the trade, supporting the industry to make it a better place for a lot of people. And to the rest of y'all, love you, and we'll talk at you next time. Peace. Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You have been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.